Please like and subscribe for future content. The story of the restless spirit of Cassie Foster and the haunting of White Deer Valley. For over 100 years, the ghost of Cassie Foster, a scrawny and eccentric widow, has been seen haunting the White Deer Valley near Lumsport. It is believed that her spirit was unable to rest after she was buried in the wrong grave. People have reported seeing the ghost of Cassie Foster since 1902 in the White Deer Valley near Lumsport. The first reported sightings of the restless spirit of Cassie Foster were from 1902, just several years after her emaciated body was found in the run-down hovel that she called home, which sat at the bottom of the mountain that divides Columbsville and Lumsport. Cassie first came to Pennsylvania following the death of her husband, who was a wealthy farmer in the Midwest. She purchased 20 acres of timberland in the White Deer Valley and built a 2-story log cabin. She was well known in the area for being a lover of wildlife and nature, and even shared her home with a flock of pigeons that she had trained to roost at the foot of her bed. Cassie also had several snakes which she kept as pets. One was a 4-foot black snake and the other was a deadly copperhead which, according to a local newspaper report, was petted and fed into a condition of docility. She didn't always treat her animal visitors as well. On one of the window ledges in the attic bedroom of Cassie's cabin was a deep axe mark, where it is said with one powerful blow, she decapitated an enormous snake that had attempted to get into her home via the bedroom window. She later told a neighbor, "I could hardly kill the poor thing. It looked so pitifully at me." The body of the old recluse was discovered one day by the wives of 2 farmers who had decided they should go and check on her as they had not seen her for some time. When they approached the cabin, the door was wide open and the old woman's shoes were in the doorway, but there was no sign of Cassie Foster. One of the farmers' wives made her way up the stairs and into the attic bedroom, where she found the body of Cassie in her bed. She described that her body and face had withered so much that she looked as if she was a mummy. A flock of rats ran out from the bed where the body had been decaying. The men of Lumsport soon arrived and took over the situation. Horrifyingly, they noticed that the rats had eaten Cassie Foster's fingers, toes, and ears. A coroner's jury inspected the cabin and viewed the old woman's remains, and concluded that she had died of starvation. When they turned over the body, an old, dirty envelope fell out of Cassie's clothing. The packet was found to contain $300, which was a considerable sum of money in those days. Why she had chosen to starve herself to death remains a mystery. Nonetheless, because of its advanced state of decay and ungodly stench, the corpse was ordered to be buried at once and was promptly deposited in a grave at the Lumsport graveyard. 3 days later, after word of the eccentric widow's death had reached Williamsport, it was discovered that Cassie had a will drawn up about a year before her death. In her will, she had left all of her possessions to the Salvation Army, and a bank book was found inside of her home that revealed she had a fortune saved in a bank at Williamsport. All of this money was also left to the Salvation Army. The last note in her will stated, "My body shall be buried at a point a few rods northeast of my house, on a knoll where stands a chestnut stump surrounded by a group of chestnut saplings, which group is all the monument I require, my body to be encased in a metal casket." Unfortunately, Cassie Foster had been buried days before her last will and testament was discovered and read. And while her bones still rest in the cemetery at Lumsport, Cassie's soul is said to have never found peace. Shortly after her burial, people passing the old woman's cabin at night began seeing strange lights shining through the windows, and they claimed to have heard the murmurings of an old woman in prayer. Several credible witnesses claim to have encountered Cassie's ghost on the old road from Lumsport to Columbsville. Another well-known sighting of an apparition of a scrawny, aged woman was seen by a traveler coming over the mountain on his way from Columbsville. The traveler claimed to have seen the ghostly form distinctly and, at one point, the specter made its way to the entrance of the abandoned log cabin. The ghost then waved its arms as if it were about to fly before vanishing into thin air.